Have you ever felt like someone's presence in your life clouds your judgment? Do you often find yourself lost in their needs, their emotions, and their expectations, forgetting about your own? It's a struggle many of us face, often without realizing the toll it takes on our mental and emotional well-being. The problem is not just that we're connected to others. Connection is essential, but when attachment begins to compromise your peace, it becomes a weight too heavy to bear. Let's think about this for a moment. Have you ever asked yourself if your life would be different if you stepped back? What if you could regain clarity, peace, and purpose by detaching from them, not abandoning, but creating space to breathe and reflect? Here's the reality. People often cling to relationships out of fear of loneliness, fear of change, or fear of losing their identity. But what if I told you that detachment isn't about rejection or separation? It's about rediscovering your sense of self, grounding yourself in truth, and living with intention. This isn't just an abstract idea. It's rooted in the principles of Stoicism, a philosophy of life that values clarity, resilience, and freedom from unnecessary suffering. In this video, we'll explore 8 transformative changes that happen when you start detaching from them. Each of these shifts can help you unlock a deeper understanding of yourself, your relationships, and your purpose. By the end, you'll not only see the power of detachment, but feel ready to apply it in your own life. Stay with me because what you'll discover today has the potential to completely change your perspective on relationships and personal growth. Let's dive into the first, and perhaps most surprising, change you'll experience: clarity in your thoughts and emotions. 1. Clarity in your thoughts and emotions. Detachment often begins in a moment of quiet reflection, where you ask yourself a question that's both simple and profound. What is mine, and what belongs to them? It's a question that cuts through the noise of attachment, revealing the ways in which your emotions and thoughts have been entangled with theirs. But how often do you actually take the time to separate your internal voice from the external influences of others? When you start detaching, a remarkable thing happens. You gain clarity. Suddenly, the mental fog that once obscured your perspective begins to lift. This isn't an easy process. At first, it might feel like you're peeling away layers of your identity, questioning what's truly yours versus what you've absorbed from others. You may feel raw, vulnerable, and even unsure of yourself. That's normal, and it's also where the transformation begins. Stoicism teaches us the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. This principle applies perfectly here. When you are overly attached to someone, whether it's a partner, friend, or family member, it's easy to internalize their emotions, their struggles, and even their expectations. How many times have you felt anxious only to realize that the source of your anxiety wasn't your own problem but theirs? How often have you altered your decisions because you were worried about their reaction? Detachment allows you to draw a boundary between what belongs to you and what doesn't. It's not about indifference, it's about discernment. Imagine walking into a quiet room after leaving a chaotic crowd. That's what clarity feels like. It's not the absence of connection, but the absence of confusion. This newfound clarity can be liberating but also uncomfortable. You might find yourself confronting truths you've avoided for a long time. Perhaps you've been sacrificing your own needs to meet theirs. Or maybe you've allowed their opinions to dictate your self-worth. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward change. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you truly listened to yourself? Not the voice in your head that echoes someone else's judgments, but your own authentic thoughts and feelings. Detachment gives you the space to do that. You start to notice the subtle ways in which your intuition speaks, guiding you toward what feels right for you. Clarity also helps you make better decisions. When you're no longer overwhelmed by the emotional noise of attachment, you can think more rationally and act with greater intention. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you start caring about yourself in a way that enables healthier, more balanced relationships. After all, how can you support someone else if you're constantly sacrificing your own stability? The clarity that comes with detachment is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. Once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. This might lead you to make difficult choices, such as setting boundaries, stepping back, or even walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. These decisions can be painful, but they are also empowering. They remind you that your peace is worth protecting, that your thoughts and emotions matter, and that you are capable of creating a life rooted in truth and authenticity. As you embrace clarity, you might find yourself reflecting on the principles of Stoicism. How often do we allow our attachments to cloud our judgment, forgetting that true freedom lies in aligning with what is within our control? Detachment doesn't mean you stop loving or caring. It means you stop letting your sense of self be dictated by others. So what would happen if you let go of the need to fix, please, or control them? What if you allowed yourself to simply be, to feel, think, and act from a place of clarity and inner peace? These are questions worth pondering, and the answers may surprise you. This is just the beginning. As we move forward, we'll explore how detachment transforms not only your thoughts and emotions, but every aspect of your life. From rediscovering your identity to building healthier relationships, the journey continues with powerful insights and practical steps. Now, take a deep breath. Imagine the mental fog clearing, the weight lifting, and the clarity settling in. This is the power of detachment. Are you ready to experience it? 2. Rediscovery of your personal identity. Detaching from someone can feel like stepping into an unknown wilderness. You're no longer tethered to their expectations, opinions, or influence, but that freedom can also feel daunting. The question often arises, who am I without them? This isn't just a philosophical pondering. It's a vital step in rediscovering your personal identity. If you've ever felt lost or wondered why you no longer recognize yourself, this part of the journey is especially for you. When you're deeply connected to someone, it's easy for your identity to blur with theirs. Their preferences become yours. Their dreams overshadow your own. Even their moods can dictate how you feel on any given day. Have you ever stopped to consider how much of your personality, choices, or lifestyle is genuinely yours versus what you've absorbed from others? This realization is often the first step in reclaiming your individuality. The process of rediscovery begins when you start asking yourself honest, uncomfortable questions. Who are you when no one else is watching? What brings you joy, separate from the approval or acknowledgement of others? What values truly resonate with you, not because someone taught you to believe in them, but because they align with your core self? These questions might seem simple, but their answers hold the key to unlocking your authentic self. When you detach, you're no longer performing. You're no longer adapting yourself to fit someone else's narrative. For the first time in a long while, you have the space to explore your own thoughts, dreams, and desires. It's as if a veil has been lifted, and you're able to see yourself clearly, both the parts you love and the parts you might want to change. This is a time of reflection, but it's also a time of action. Rediscovering your identity isn't just about introspection. It's about experimenting and exploring. Try new hobbies. Revisit passions you've set aside. Surround yourself with people who encourage growth rather than conformity. You may find that some of the things you thought defined you were never truly yours to begin with. They were borrowed from others, picked up along the way, and carried out of habit. Stoicism offers a powerful framework for this rediscovery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." This simple idea reminds us that the answers we seek are not found in external validation, but in our own hearts and minds. The more you detach from others' expectations, the more you can connect with your inner self, the fountain of your true identity. But let's not ignore the challenges. Rediscovery isn't always easy. It can feel lonely at times, as if you're walking away from a familiar landscape into the unknown. There might be moments when you doubt yourself, when you miss the comfort of being defined by someone else's presence. That's natural. Growth is rarely comfortable, but it's always worth it. As you rebuild your identity, you'll notice something profound. You're no longer afraid to stand alone. Detachment teaches you to find strength within yourself rather than relying on others to validate your worth. It's a shift that transforms not only how you see yourself, but how you engage with the world. You begin to approach relationships from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. Instead of seeking someone to complete you, you seek connections that complement the person you're becoming. This rediscovery process isn't just about figuring out who you are. It's about embracing all the possibilities of who you can become. What parts of yourself have been neglected or silenced? What dreams have you put on hold because you thought they didn't fit into someone else's vision for your life? Now is the time to nurture those parts of yourself, to give them the attention they deserve. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something purely because it brought you joy, not because it met someone else's expectations? If it's been a while, it's time to change that. Start small. Take a walk in a place that inspires you. Pick up a book you've always wanted to read. Say yes to something new, or say no to something that drains you. These small acts of self-discovery add up, slowly but surely reconnecting you with your authentic self. As you rediscover yourself, you may also notice a shift in your relationships. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you start caring about yourself as well. When you know who you are, you're better equipped to show up fully in your connections with others. You bring authenticity to the table, creating the foundation for healthier, more meaningful relationships. Stoic relationships, grounded in mutual respect and self-awareness, thrive when both individuals are whole and self-sufficient. By rediscovering your identity, you're laying the groundwork for these kinds of connections. This isn't just beneficial for you, it's beneficial for everyone around you. So what does rediscovery look like for you? Is it reclaiming a passion for art, music, or writing? Is it learning a new skill or revisiting an old one? Is it simply allowing yourself to be still and enjoy your own company? Whatever it is, know that the journey is unique to you. There's no right or wrong way to rediscover yourself, as long as you're honest and intentional. If this resonates with you, I want you to take a moment to celebrate this realization. You've already taken the first step by watching this video and reflecting on these ideas. That's no small feat. Now, let's keep the momentum going. If you're finding value in this conversation so far, like this video and comment number 1 to let me know you're on board with this journey of self-discovery. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapters of this transformative exploration. Together, we'll continue to uncover the principles of Stoicism and how they can guide us toward freedom, clarity, and growth. Remember, rediscovering your identity isn't a destination, it's a lifelong process. Every day is an opportunity to learn more about yourself, to grow into the person you're meant to be. Keep taking those steps, no matter how small. 3. Improved mental and emotional peace. Imagine for a moment the weight you've been carrying, the constant need to anticipate their reactions, adjust your behavior, and align your emotions with theirs. It's exhausting, isn't it? Now picture what it would feel like to set that weight down, to stop shouldering burdens that were never truly yours to carry. This is what happens when you begin to detach. You experience a profound sense of mental and emotional peace. When you're deeply attached to someone, their moods and actions often dictate your inner world. A single word or gesture from them can send your emotions spiraling, either into joy or despair. This attachment creates a cycle of dependence, where your peace becomes contingent on their behavior. Have you ever stopped to question whether this is a healthy way to live? What would it mean to break free from that cycle? Detachment allows you to reclaim ownership of your emotional state. It's not about shutting people out or refusing to care. It's about recognizing that their emotions and actions are not your responsibility to manage. This shift can feel strange at first. You might find yourself wanting to jump in, to fix things, or to smooth over conflicts. But with time, you'll learn the power of stepping back, of letting others carry their own emotional load. This doesn't mean detachment is easy. At first, you might feel guilty or even selfish for prioritizing your peace. You might worry that by not reacting to every emotional cue, you're being unkind or uncaring. But consider this. Is it truly kind to allow yourself to become emotionally drained to the point where you can't show up fully for yourself or others? Is it truly caring to enable dependency instead of fostering mutual growth? Stoicism reminds us of the importance of focusing on what we can control. You cannot control how someone else feels, reacts, or chooses to live their life. But you can control your own mind, your own emotions, and your own reactions. When you internalize this lesson, a remarkable transformation begins to take place. You start to feel lighter, freer, and more grounded. With detachment, you create space in your mind that was once filled with worry, doubt, or overthinking. That space can now be used for reflection, creativity, or simply rest. Have you ever noticed how much of your mental energy is spent on replaying conversations, analyzing interactions, or imagining worst-case scenarios? What if you could redirect that energy towards something that nourishes your soul instead of depleting it? Emotional peace also means learning to sit with your feelings without judgment. Instead of suppressing your emotions or letting them control you, you begin to observe them with curiosity and compassion. This practice, often encouraged in Stoicism, teaches you that emotions are not enemies to be conquered but signals to be understood. They guide you toward what matters, but they don't have to dictate your actions. For example, when someone close to you is upset, your initial reaction might be to mirror their distress, feeling as though you're obligated to fix the situation. Detachment helps you take a step back and ask yourself, is this my emotion or theirs? Is there anything I can do to help, or is this something they need to work through on their own? These questions allow you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Another powerful aspect of detachment is the way it reduces conflict. When you're no longer emotionally entangled, you're less likely to take things personally. This doesn't mean you become indifferent or aloof. It means you develop a stronger sense of perspective. You recognize that someone's anger, criticism, or negativity often says more about their internal state than about you. Instead of reacting defensively, you can approach situations with calm and clarity. This newfound peace has a ripple effect on every area of your life. Your mind becomes less cluttered, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. Your relationships improve because you're no longer projecting your own emotional needs onto others. And most importantly, you develop a deeper connection with yourself, a connection rooted in acceptance, resilience, and inner strength. It's worth noting that achieving emotional peace through detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about others. In fact, it often makes you more compassionate. When you're not overwhelmed by your own emotional reactions, you're better able to empathize with others without losing yourself in their struggles. You can offer support from a place of strength rather than from a place of sacrifice. So what does this look like in practice? It might mean pausing before you respond to a heated argument, reminding yourself that you don't have to match their intensity. It might mean declining an invitation that feels more like an obligation than a joy. It might mean giving yourself permission to rest when you're feeling emotionally drained, instead of pushing through out of guilt. These small, mindful choices add up over time, creating a life that feels more balanced and sustainable. You're no longer at the mercy of external circumstances or the emotional turbulence of others. Instead, you've cultivated a sanctuary within yourself, a place where you can always return for calm and clarity. If you've ever longed for that kind of peace, know that it's within your reach. Detachment doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, it becomes a natural part of your life. The more you detach, the more you'll find that your sense of peace no longer depends on others. It comes from within, where it can't be taken away. Take a moment to reflect. What would your life look like if you stopped letting others dictate your emotional state? How much more energy would you have? How much more joy could you experience? These are questions worth exploring, not just in theory but in action. As we move forward, keep in mind the wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to find freedom in letting go of what we cannot control. Your journey toward mental and emotional peace is not about becoming distant or detached from life. It's about embracing it fully, with a calm and steady heart. Let this be a reminder that peace is possible, no matter how chaotic the world around you might seem. It starts with the simple but powerful act of detaching, of reclaiming your mind and your emotions as your own. Stay with me as we continue this journey, exploring the profound changes that detachment can bring. 4. Focus on self-growth and priorities. Have you ever felt like your goals and dreams were slipping through your fingers because your attention was so heavily focused on someone else? It's a feeling that can leave you frustrated and stuck. as if your life is on pause while you invest all your energy into theirs. The truth is, when you begin to detach, something extraordinary happens. You finally create the space to focus on your self-growth and priorities. Detachment is not about abandoning others or rejecting connection. It's about reclaiming your time and energy. Think about it. How much of your day is spent worrying about their problems, fulfilling their expectations, or adjusting your plans to accommodate their needs? Now, imagine redirecting all that energy toward your own growth. What could you achieve? Who could you become? When you prioritize yourself, you're not being selfish, you're being responsible. Stoicism teaches us that life is short, and it's our duty to live it well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This idea encourages us to take action, to focus on what we can do today to become better versions of ourselves. By detaching, you give yourself the freedom to pursue this path without unnecessary distractions. The first step in focusing on self-growth is to get clear on your priorities. What truly matters to you? Is it advancing in your career? Deepening your knowledge? Improving your health? Strengthening your relationships with those who genuinely support you? When you're overly attached to someone else, it's easy to lose sight of these priorities. Detachment helps you realign with what's important, creating a sense of purpose and direction. But self-growth isn't just about setting goals, it's about the journey of becoming. This journey requires introspection, discipline, and courage. When you detach, you begin to notice how much of your potential was tied up in external validation. Instead of seeking approval from others, you start building confidence from within. You take pride in your progress, no matter how small, because it's driven by your own values and aspirations. Focusing on self-growth also allows you to explore new opportunities. Maybe you've always wanted to learn a new skill, start a business, or travel to a place you've never been. Detachment gives you the time and mental clarity to pursue these experiences. You're no longer held back by the fear of what others might think or the obligation to prioritize their desires over your own. Let me ask you, what have you been putting off because you've been too busy tending to someone else's needs? Is it a project you've dreamed about starting? A healthier lifestyle you've wanted to embrace? A passion you've neglected? Now is the time to take that first step. Detachment is not about running away from relationships, it's about running toward the person you're meant to be. When you focus on self-growth, you're not only benefiting yourself, you're also improving the quality of your relationships. Think about it. When you're fulfilled, confident, and aligned with your values, you bring a stronger, healthier version of yourself to your connections with others. You're no longer relying on someone else to fill a void or provide a sense of purpose. Instead, you're able to engage in relationships from a place of wholeness and mutual respect. This shift can have a profound impact on how you interact with others. Instead of being reactive or dependent, you become more intentional. You're better equipped to set boundaries, communicate effectively, and nurture connections that are built on trust and reciprocity. In essence, focusing on self-growth creates a ripple effect, elevating not only your life but the lives of those around you. But let's not sugarcoat it. Self-growth takes effort. There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and challenges. That's where the principles of Stoicism can guide you. Stoic relationships, rooted in resilience and self-awareness, remind us that growth is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every step you take, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goals. As you embrace this journey, you might also notice a sense of excitement and possibility returning to your life. The weight of attachment that once held you back is replaced by a sense of freedom and empowerment. You begin to see the world through fresh eyes, recognizing opportunities you might have overlooked before. This is the beauty of detachment. It opens doors you didn't even know existed. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to take action. Start by reflecting on one area of your life where you'd like to grow. Write it down and make a plan to take the first step today. Remember, detachment is not about isolation, it's about liberation. It's about freeing yourself to live with purpose, intention, and joy. And if you're enjoying this journey of self-discovery and growth, let me know. Like this video and comment number 1 to show your support. Your engagement not only motivates me to create more content like this, but also inspires others to join the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapters of this exploration into detachment, stoicism, and personal transformation. Your growth matters. Your priorities matter. And most importantly, you matter. Keep moving forward one step at a time and watch how your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. 5. Strengthen sense of boundaries. As you continue your journey of detachment, something subtle yet powerful begins to emerge: the ability to set and maintain boundaries. At first, this might feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable, especially if you've spent much of your life accommodating others. But as you embrace detachment, you realize that boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're bridges to ensure mutual respect and understanding. Boundaries are an essential aspect of any healthy relationship, yet they are often misunderstood. Have you ever felt guilty for saying no, even when you knew it was the right thing to do? Have you ever allowed someone to overstep because you feared conflict or rejection? These moments can erode your sense of self, leaving you feeling resentful, drained, and unvalued. When you detach, you begin to see boundaries in a new light. They're not just about protecting your time and energy, they're about honoring your values, needs, and emotional well-being. Detachment helps you recognize that you have the right and the responsibility to define what is acceptable in your relationships. It empowers you to communicate these limits clearly and confidently, without apology or hesitation. But let's pause and reflect for a moment. Why do so many of us struggle with boundaries? Often it's because we equate love or connection with sacrifice. We've been taught that putting others first, no matter the cost, is a sign of strength and virtue. While selflessness has its place, it should never come at the expense of your inner peace. Detachment teaches you that true love and respect start with how you treat yourself. When you begin to enforce boundaries, you might encounter resistance. People who are used to you saying yes or always being available may not understand this shift. They might accuse you of being distant or selfish. This is where the lessons of Stoicism become invaluable. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what is within our control, our actions, thoughts, and decisions, while letting go of what is not, including how others perceive us. Consider this. Would you rather maintain unhealthy dynamics to keep the peace, or would you prefer to build relationships based on mutual respect and authenticity? Setting boundaries might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it lays the foundation for stronger, healthier connections in the long run. It also gives others permission to set boundaries of their own, fostering a culture of respect and understanding. One of the most profound changes you'll notice is how boundaries strengthen your self-respect. Each time you stand firm in your limits, you send a message to yourself that your needs matter. This isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself, yes to your peace, yes to your values, yes to your growth. Boundaries also help you identify the relationships that truly serve you. When you detach, you start to see which connections are built on genuine respect and which ones are rooted in control, dependency, or manipulation. This clarity can be painful but also liberating. It allows you to invest your time and energy in people who uplift and support you while distancing yourself from those who drain or diminish you. Here's something to consider. Boundaries are not static. They evolve as you grow and as your circumstances change. Detachment gives you the flexibility to reassess your limits regularly, ensuring they continue to align with your needs and priorities. This adaptability is a key aspect of personal growth, enabling you to navigate life's challenges with resilience and grace. As you strengthen your boundaries, you'll also notice a shift in how you approach conflict. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations or compromising your needs to avoid upsetting others, you'll learn to communicate assertively and calmly. You'll express your feelings and expectations with clarity, knowing that your worth isn't dependent on their approval. This shift doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone around you. When you model healthy boundaries, you encourage others to do the same. You create an environment where open communication and mutual respect thrive, paving the way for deeper and more meaningful relationships. But let's be clear, boundaries are not about creating distance or isolation. They're about creating a framework where connection can flourish. By honoring your limits, you're able to show up as your best self in your relationships. You're no longer weighed down by resentment or burnout, which means you can give your time and energy freely, from a place of abundance rather than obligation. The practice of setting boundaries is deeply aligned with the principles of Stoicism. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and the courage to prioritize what truly matters. It also requires a commitment to growth, as boundaries are not always easy to establish or maintain. But with each step, you'll find yourself becoming more aligned with your values, more attuned to your needs, and more capable of navigating life's complexities with strength and clarity. Let's take a moment to reflect. What boundaries in your life need strengthening? Where have you been compromising your peace or sacrificing your needs for the sake of others? These are not easy questions, but they're essential for your growth and well-being. By answering them honestly, you take the first step toward creating a life that feels balanced, authentic, and true to yourself. As you continue on this journey, remember that boundaries are not a one-time fix. They're a lifelong practice. They require patience, persistence, and most importantly, self-compassion. There will be moments when you slip or when enforcing a boundary feels especially challenging. That's okay. Growth is rarely linear, but every effort you make brings you closer to the life you deserve. Strengthening your boundaries is one of the most empowering aspects of detachment. It's a declaration to yourself and to the world that your time, energy, and well-being are valuable. It's a commitment to living with intention and integrity, grounded in the wisdom of Stoicism and the pursuit of a life well lived. As we move forward, keep this truth in mind. Boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges. They connect you to your authentic self and to relationships that honor and respect who you are. By embracing this practice, you create a life that feels not only lighter but also richer, deeper, and more fulfilling. Stay with me as we continue to explore the transformative power of detachment and its impact on every aspect of your life. 6. Recognition of toxic patterns. When you start detaching from someone, one of the most eye-opening transformations is your ability to recognize toxic patterns. These are the subtle yet destructive cycles of behavior that may have been overshadowed by your attachment. Detachment is like stepping back to view the bigger picture. It gives you clarity to see what you've been tolerating, sometimes for far too long. Have you ever found yourself making excuses for someone's behavior? Maybe you've said things like, "That's just how they are," or "It's not that bad, I can handle it." These justifications might feel like kindness or patience, but they often mask the reality. You're stuck in a pattern that's draining your energy and eroding your peace. When you detach, these patterns become impossible to ignore. You start to see how their behavior impacts you, not just in the moment but over time. You might notice how a dismissive comment lowers your self-esteem or how constant demands leave you feeling exhausted. These realizations can be painful, but they're also empowering. They give you the opportunity to break free. Toxic patterns don't always involve dramatic fights or obvious manipulation. Sometimes, they show up in the form of small, consistent behaviors. Subtle criticisms, emotional unavailability, or an imbalance in effort and care. Detachment allows you to examine these dynamics without the fog of emotional entanglement. You begin to ask yourself, is this relationship helping me grow, or is it holding me back? Recognizing toxic patterns doesn't mean you immediately have to cut ties or make drastic changes. It starts with awareness. You might begin by observing how you feel after interacting with someone. Do you feel uplifted, or do you feel drained? Do their words and actions align with the respect and care you deserve, or do they leave you questioning your worth? This process of recognition is deeply aligned with the principles of Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us to prioritize truth and clarity over comfort. It's not always easy to confront the reality of a toxic relationship, but doing so is essential for your growth and well-being. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This wisdom can be applied to relationships as well. If it's not healthy, it's worth reevaluating. Detachment gives you the strength to face these truths without being overwhelmed by guilt or fear. You stop blaming yourself for their behavior or trying to fix things that are beyond your control. Instead, you focus on what you can do. Set boundaries, communicate your needs, or, in some cases, step away. Here's a question to consider. How many times have you ignored a red flag because you didn't want to disrupt the relationship? Maybe you told yourself it wasn't a big deal or that things would get better over time. Detachment helps you stop ignoring these signs. It encourages you to trust your instincts and honor your feelings. After all, if something feels wrong, it often is. The recognition of toxic patterns doesn't just apply to others, it also applies to yourself. Detachment encourages self-reflection, helping you identify any behaviors or beliefs that might be contributing to unhealthy dynamics. Are you constantly putting others' needs above your own? Are you avoiding difficult conversations to keep the peace? Recognizing these tendencies is the first step toward changing them. As you gain clarity, you might find yourself wondering, what now? Recognizing toxicity is one thing, addressing it is another. This is where detachment becomes a tool for action. It helps you approach the situation with calm and intention rather than fear or anger. You're no longer reacting impulsively, you're responding thoughtfully. Sometimes addressing toxic patterns means having honest conversations. Other times it means setting firmer boundaries or creating distance. And in certain situations it means letting go altogether. These choices aren't easy, but they're necessary for your peace and growth. Remember, detachment isn't about abandoning others, it's about protecting your own well-being. When you start breaking free from toxic patterns, you'll notice a shift in your energy and outlook. The weight you've been carrying begins to lift, and you feel lighter, freer, and more in control. You're no longer stuck in cycles of frustration or pain. Instead, you're creating space for relationships that uplift and inspire you. And let's not forget the ripple effect. When you break toxic patterns, you're setting a powerful example for others. You're showing them that it's possible to prioritize your well-being without sacrificing kindness or compassion. This is particularly true in Stoic relationships, which are grounded in mutual respect and authenticity. By addressing toxicity, you're paving the way for connections that are healthier and more fulfilling. Now, let me ask you, have you recognized any toxic patterns in your life recently? If so, what steps are you taking to address them? Reflecting on these questions can be the start of a transformative journey. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. If this resonates with you, let me know. Like this video and comment number 1 to share your thoughts and show your support for this journey of growth and detachment. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can stay connected and continue exploring these transformative ideas. There's so much more to uncover, and I can't wait to share it with you. As you move forward, keep this truth in mind. Recognizing toxic patterns is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. It's an acknowledgement that you deserve better and that you're willing to take the steps necessary to create a life rooted in peace, clarity, and authenticity. This is the power of detachment, and it's just the beginning of what's possible. 7. Building healthier relationships. One of the most transformative outcomes of detachment is the ability to build healthier relationships. When you stop clinging to unhealthy dynamics or relying on others for your sense of self, you create the space for connections that are rooted in respect, balance, and authenticity. It's as if you've cleared the clutter, making room for relationships that truly nourish your soul. At the heart of healthier relationships is mutual respect. When you detach, you start to see relationships as partnerships rather than dependencies. You recognize that both individuals in a connection are equal participants, each responsible for their own emotions, decisions, and growth. This perspective shifts how you interact with others. Instead of seeking approval or validation, you approach relationships with confidence and self-assurance. Detachment also allows you to approach relationships with greater clarity. Without the fog of over-attachment, you can assess the quality of your connections more objectively. You begin to ask important questions. Is this relationship bringing out the best in me? Do I feel seen and valued? Are my boundaries respected? These reflections are crucial because they help you identify which relationships align with your values and which ones may need to be reevaluated. This newfound clarity often leads to a deeper understanding of what makes a relationship healthy. You realize that true connection isn't about constant closeness or agreement. It's about mutual support and growth. Healthy relationships allow for individuality within the connection, respecting each person's unique journey. Detachment helps you embrace this balance, fostering connections that feel freeing rather than restrictive. Have you ever noticed how much stronger your connections become when you approach them from a place of wholeness? When you're no longer looking to others to complete you, you're able to give freely without expectation. This doesn't mean you stop needing others. It means you stop needing them to define your worth. Instead, your relationships become a source of joy and enrichment, not validation. This principle is beautifully reflected in the philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, thoughts, and reactions, while accepting that others are responsible for their own. In relationships, this means letting go of the need to fix or change others and instead meeting them where they are. You're no longer tied to the outcome of the relationship. You're simply present within it, appreciating it for what it is rather than what you wish it to be. Healthy relationships also thrive on effective communication, another area where detachment plays a pivotal role. When you're not entangled in emotional reactivity, you're better able to express yourself clearly and listen to others without judgment. This creates a space for open and honest dialogue where both parties feel heard and understood. But let's not ignore the challenges that come with this shift. Building healthier relationships often requires letting go of old patterns and sometimes even old connections. Detachment might reveal that certain relationships are no longer serving you, prompting difficult but necessary conversations or decisions. These moments can be painful, but they're also opportunities for growth. Every step you take toward healthier connections is a step toward a more authentic and fulfilling life. One of the most beautiful aspects of building healthier relationships is the way it transforms your perception of love. Love, you realize, isn't about possession or control. It's about freedom. It's about supporting someone else's growth while staying true to your own. It's about choosing to be with someone not because you need them, but because you genuinely enjoy and appreciate who they are. This perspective doesn't just apply to romantic relationships. It extends to friendships, family ties, and even professional connections. Whether it's a close friend, a sibling, or a colleague, detachment helps you approach every relationship with integrity and respect. You're no longer afraid to advocate for yourself or to walk away from dynamics that compromise your well-being. Let me ask you something. What would your relationships look like if you stopped clinging to unrealistic expectations or trying to control outcomes? How much more freedom and joy could you experience if you simply allowed your connections to unfold naturally without the weight of over-attachment? These are questions worth considering as you navigate this journey. Building healthier relationships is not about perfection, it's about intention. It's about showing up with authenticity, practicing empathy, and maintaining boundaries. It's about recognizing that relationships are not static, they're dynamic, evolving as you grow and change. Detachment gives you the tools to navigate this evolution with grace, ensuring that your connections are aligned with your values and your sense of self. As you continue this journey, remember that healthier relationships start with you. When you're grounded in your own peace and clarity, you bring a stronger, more balanced version of yourself to every interaction. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges, but it does mean you'll be better equipped to handle them. At its core, detachment isn't about distancing yourself from others, it's about coming closer to the truth of who you are. And when you live from that truth, you attract relationships that reflect it. These are the connections that uplift you, inspire you, and remind you of the beauty of human connection. Keep moving forward, and watch as your relationships transform into something truly meaningful. 8. Empowerment and independence. One of the most profound transformations that occur when you start detaching from them is the discovery of your empowerment and independence. This isn't just about freedom from unhealthy attachments. It's about stepping into a life where you are the main architect of your decisions, emotions, and overall direction. Detachment, at its core, isn't about cutting ties, it's about reclaiming your strength. Think about how often your sense of happiness, peace, or fulfillment has depended on someone else's behavior. Maybe it's a partner's validation, a friend's approval, or a family member's acknowledgement. While these things can feel good, they often come at a cost, a loss of your autonomy. The moment you detach, you begin to realize that your well-being isn't tied to anyone else. Instead, it stems from within. Empowerment through detachment starts with self-trust. When you no longer rely on others to define your worth or guide your decisions, you become more confident in your own abilities. You start asking yourself, what do I truly want, rather than what will make them happy. This shift allows you to make choices that align with your values and aspirations, rather than sacrificing them for someone else's expectations. Let me pose a question. How often do you hesitate to take action because you're worried about how someone else might react? Maybe you've held back from pursuing a dream, speaking your truth, or even setting boundaries out of fear of judgment or rejection. Detachment helps you break free from this hesitation. It gives you the courage to act in alignment with your authentic self, regardless of others' opinions. As you embrace independence, you'll notice a newfound resilience. Life's challenges, which once felt overwhelming, become opportunities to grow and adapt. You're no longer looking for someone to save you or fix things for you. Instead, you trust your ability to navigate difficulties with strength and clarity. This doesn't mean you stop seeking support when needed. It means you approach challenges from a place of self-reliance rather than dependence. This independence also extends to your emotions. Have you ever felt like your mood was dictated by someone else's actions? Maybe their bad day ruined yours, or their praise lifted you higher than you thought possible. While it's natural to be influenced by those around us, true empowerment comes from finding emotional stability within yourself. Detachment teaches you to separate your feelings from others' behavior, allowing you to remain grounded no matter what's happening around you. Empowerment and independence are deeply intertwined with the principles of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Detachment embodies this wisdom by reminding you that your thoughts, actions, and choices are within your control, while others' behaviors and reactions are not. This realization is incredibly freeing. It allows you to focus your energy on what truly matters, living a life of purpose and integrity. As you step into this empowered state, you'll also find that your relationships improve. Why? Because independence fosters mutual respect. When you're no longer clinging to someone for validation or support, you approach relationships from a place of strength. You're able to give and receive freely without the burden of unmet expectations or unspoken needs. This creates space for healthier, more balanced connections. Another remarkable aspect of empowerment is the way it transforms your perspective on setbacks. Instead of seeing failure or rejection as catastrophes, you begin to view them as opportunities to learn and grow. Detachment helps you detach from outcomes, focusing instead on the effort and intention you bring to each situation. This resilience allows you to move forward with confidence, no matter what challenges arise. But let's not ignore the fact that empowerment can feel uncomfortable at first. Independence often means stepping out of your comfort zone, taking risks, and facing fears you've avoided. It might mean making difficult decisions like ending relationships or pursuing paths that others don't understand. These moments require courage, but they're also where true growth happens. Here's something to consider. What would your life look like if you fully embraced your independence? If you stopped waiting for permission or approval and started taking bold steps toward your dreams? Detachment gives you the clarity and confidence to answer these questions and act on them. As you reflect on this journey, remember that empowerment isn't about being invincible. It's about being authentic. It's about owning your strengths and your vulnerabilities, knowing that both are part of what makes you whole. Independence doesn't mean you don't need others. It means you're capable of standing on your own while still valuing connection and support. If this resonates with you, I encourage you to celebrate this step in your journey. Empowerment and independence are gifts that keep giving, transforming not only your relationship with yourself, but also your relationship with the world. Like this video and comment number 1 to show that you're ready to step into this new chapter of your life. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can continue exploring these transformative ideas together. Your journey toward empowerment and independence is a testament to your courage and strength. As you move forward, remember that every step you take is a step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. This is the power of detachment. It's not about letting go of others. It's about holding on to yourself. Stay committed, stay strong, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. As we come to the end of this journey, take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored. Detachment is not about distancing yourself from life or relationships. It's about freeing yourself from the burdens of over-attachment and reclaiming your sense of self. It's about creating space for clarity, peace, growth, and empowerment, all while fostering healthier and more meaningful connections. Through detachment, you've seen how stepping back allows you to rediscover your identity, prioritize your well-being, and strengthen your relationships. You've learned to set boundaries, recognize toxic patterns, and build resilience in the face of challenges. Most importantly, you've unlocked the ability to live with intention and authenticity. Detachment isn't a one-time fix, it's a lifelong practice. There will be moments when you slip back into old habits, when the pull of attachment feels overwhelming. That's okay. Growth is rarely linear. What matters is your commitment to keep moving forward, to keep choosing yourself, and to keep aligning with your values. In this process, the wisdom of Stoicism serves as a powerful guide. Remember that you have control over your thoughts, actions, and decisions. Everything else is beyond your influence. This perspective is liberating, reminding you that your peace and happiness are not dictated by external forces but cultivated from within. Let me leave you with this thought. What would your life look like if you embraced detachment fully? How would your relationships, goals, and sense of self transform? These questions are not just theoretical, they're an invitation to take action. If this video resonated with you, like it in comment number 1 to let me know you're ready to take this journey further. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future content that inspires growth, empowerment, and clarity. Thank you for spending this time with me, for reflecting on these ideas, and for choosing to invest in yourself. Your journey is uniquely yours, and every step you take toward detachment is a step toward a more fulfilled and authentic life. Stay strong, stay intentional, and remember, the power to create the life you deserve is already within you. You've got this. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.